Hey everyone, Dr. Uhrmacher here. Welcome to the webinar. I hope everyone is doing well. Real quick, before we get started, I want to do a quick sound check. Do me a favor and send me a message there in the chat box. Let me know that you can hear me okay. And you know, you can also put your questions in the chat box during the webinar, and that'll send them to my email. And I'll really do my best to answer your questions here. But if I can't during the webinar, I'll definitely respond by email and I'll get them answered for you. So, all right, okay, good sound. All right, thank you, Dale. Thank you, Lori. Loud and clear. I appreciate that, Evan. Awesome. All right, thank you. Again, for those of you who are just hopping on here, welcome. We've got doctors from nearly every state across the country by the looks of it. People are still ticking in, and I appreciate you taking the time out to be here, because I have an amazing webinar in store for you. We're going to get right to it. But you are on the webinar, the one simple trick to increase your conversions and collections, and more importantly, without doing anything different in your practice. All right? Okay, so there's still a few docs jumping on here, but I'm going to go ahead and get started. Yeah, and you know, in my different videos and courses that I have, I really revolve around getting new patients. I revolve around increasing your conversions and increasing your collections. And not too long ago, I came across something that just really blew me away. This is something every doctor can do right now as well. So if I finish this webinar and every doctor on here isn't doing this tomorrow, I'll be amazed. All right, now one more thing here before we get started. I want you to keep your money in your pocket. There's nothing going to be sold in this call. All right, is that fair enough? Okay, let's get rolling. So why would you even want to increase your conversions? Well, for one, if you increase your conversions with this strategy, that should obviously increase your collections. You increase your collections and you increase your chances of paying off your debt, updating your practice, you know, buying a new home or car, taking an extra day off each week to spend with your spouse and your kids. And then ultimately, if you're increasing your conversions, you're increasing the number of people that you're able to help. And deep down, I know that's what we all want, is to help more people. So really, you should be doing everything you can. Now, it's got to be honest and ethical, but you should be doing everything you can to increase your conversions, right? So let me walk you through this little process real briefly, what it looks like when it comes to conversions. So you take care of your marketing, and a prospective patient sees your marketing and calls your office. Of course, then your staff, they do a decent job, you know, to get them scheduled. The person actually shows up for the appointment and shows up at your office, right? They're not a no-show. So then you go, you handle your paperwork, you do your exam, and then what's next, right? You have to tell the patient what they need. You have to tell them they need to spend money with you. That's the so-called close, right? And docs always want to know, how do I close this patient? How do I get patients to convert better? Now, I'm going to tell you that the 50 things that you do prior to that close, those are the things that really make a person convert and say yes. But I'm not going to get into all that. I'm going to skip ahead and I'm just going to forget all of those other things right now. Answer this. What's the number one reason that people tell you they're not going to start care or take your recommendations? Or they say maybe they're going to go home and think about it, right? What does that really mean to most doctors? Yeah, I see it coming in there. It means I'm not sure about the money. It comes down to the whole money excuse, right? So, what if you get to that point and you could make it affordable for every patient? And you could make it affordable without cutting your fees. What if you got to that whole money part, the close, and you could make your care affordable to 100% of your patients? Do you think more of those patients would say yes? Now what would that do for your bottom line and your collections? Yeah, again, I'd take that all day long. Well, that's what I have for you right here. So what am I talking about? I'm talking about financing for your patients. All right, and hold on just a second. Don't get carried away here. You might be thinking, you know what, I already have Care Credit. And you're probably even a little disappointed with Care Credit because a lot of your patients get denied. And that's the problem with top tier financing. they only approve about 15 to 20% of your patients. They only handle patients, basically the prime lending, right? I'm talking about an option for the other 80% of your patients that get denied, because those are the patients that are walking out your door, right? So let me introduce you to Compass Payment Solutions. Now, Compass was birthed, that's a great word, isn't it? Birthed from a wish list, really, that a bunch of doctors had created about financing. And so it's something that the doctors really wanted, what was best for them and best for their patients, not just what, the finance company was willing to produce for them. That's what the banks are willing to offer, because that's what we're normally stuck with, right? What the bank is willing to give us. So Compass, they are a finance management company. They're not a lender. So they can enter applications with several subprime lenders. I hope you heard that part. They're the subprime lenders. These are the lenders that you normally don't have access to. And if you're not familiar with subprime lending, let me tell you, Care Credit's a prime lender. They will normally only finance a patient if they have about a 700 credit score or higher up. Subprime is everything below that. And I would really say, and I know Compass probably prides itself on being their specialty, is subprime lending. And they work with a handful of subprime lenders that actually want to work directly with doctors and their patients. That's what this is designed around. And so they'll finance patients with bad credit, as low as 500 credit scores. And so that's the pivotal part, really, to increasing your conversions and collections. If you can offer your service, then make it affordable to every patient with a payment plan, even if they have poor credit, you're going to instantly convert more patients, you're going to increase your paycheck, and you're going to help more people. So let me tell you how Compass works. Because, as you probably know, financing is not as easy as it used to be. I mean, it used to be that you could have someone sitting in your office and you take an application, you enter it in with some different lenders, and there would be hungry lenders, and so someone would buy it, one of the banks would. And that's not the case anymore. So Compass really wants to wear the hat, kind of like your personal finance manager at your office. So when you enroll with Compass, they're going to assign you a finance manager to your office. And so when a patient comes in and applies for financing, you're going to pick up the phone, call that same finance manager. That finance manager is going to take an application over the phone, or you can do it online. And then that finance manager will do a pre-qualification based on some really slick proprietary software that Compass developed with Experian. Everyone's heard of Experian, right? So this is phenomenal software. And they're going to be able to tell you within minutes what plan that patient is getting. And so then they'll enter the deal with the appropriate lender, and then they're going to close the transaction. That's anyone okay with that? Someone handling all your financing stuff, having that? No one likes to talk finances in the office. What if you had someone that was experienced in it that would do it for you? Yeah, I got a lot of people saying that sounds phenomenal. Well, bottom line right here, Compass has 3 goals that they're looking for. The first goal is to get as many patients approved as possible. Now, no ifs, ands, or buts. That's their number 1 goal. Get as many patients approved as possible. The second goal is to get the doctor, that's you, they want to get you the highest payout possible. So listen, Compass is working for you. They don't get paid any back-end fees from the lenders based on where that loan goes. So the second goal is to make sure that you get the highest possible payout. It doesn't matter to Compass one way or the other which lender gets it. And the third goal, they really want to take care of your patient and put them into a program that offers them the best interest rate and the best terms. Again, because they're not a finance company, Compass isn't allowed to get any back-end fees for charging a patient a higher interest rate or more fees or anything like that. So they want the best deal for that patient because they know that's part of the relationship. And if they treat them right, they're going to come back to you again. And they want to nurture that relationship. So they are strictly a finance manager who is essentially hired by your office to help you find these patients a payment plan. Sound good? All right, so what about the Compass's fees? They obviously have to get paid, right? I mean, that's fair enough. And something else here that I worked out with Frank over at Compass, because there's normally a $395 setup fee for you to get enrolled with Compass. And I talked with Frank and I asked him, I said, would you waive the setup fee for my group? So there is no setup fee for you. He said he'd do that. Even better than that, Compass only gets paid when they get your patient a financing option. Not only that, you have to agree to it and the patient has to accept it, right? So Compass is pay only for performance. They don't take a dime if they don't get results for you based on your criteria. That's why I said early on that you'd be crazy not to do this. There is no risk for you to try out Compass in this. So if you're ready to get the financing hassle out of your hands and into the hands of professionals, you need to give Compass a try. And you simply click on the button below this video and that'll take you to a form. Fill out that little simple form. Compass is going to get a hold of you. It's really simple. So let me get back to the fees here. Really straightforward fees. And you can even build these fees into the financing. I would recommend it. I know Compass is going to recommend it as well, that you build it into the patient's fees. So if Compass closes a payment plan in the range of $500 up to $999, you only pay $95 to Compass for them to set that up for you. That's cheap. That's cheap money right there. Loans from $1,000 up to $1,499, you pay $195. And if you close a loan of $1,500 all the way up, you only pay $350 flat fee to Compass. And again, you can build the fees into the patient's loan, and Compass will help you out with that. So don't think you have to solve this problem. They're going to handle it. That's what they do. And listen to this. Your fees here that you see on there, you don't have to pay it for 3 days after the close of the loan. So you should get paid before you ever have to pay a fee. All right, so let me tell you something here. This is incredible. I get excited about it because it's a no-brainer to me. Compass gives you a sliding fee scale on the loans, as you can see here. They work as your personal finance manager. You only pay for performance when they perform for you, and you pay 3 days after they close the loan. It's a no-brainer, folks. All right, that's really all I got. I know I got a couple of questions in the chat here. All right, not so much a question. Todd's saying it sounds too good to be true. And no doubt, Todd, it does, because we've never seen this type of deal. I never had this opportunity when I was in practice. But when I met Frank, because I kind of thought the same thing, I was wondering what the deal was. And Frank's the founder of Compass. Here's what he told me, though. He said, you know what? He said, tell your docs, just throw every case at me. Test us out. Let me prove that we can get more patients approved and that your patients are going to be happy. So that's what I would encourage, and that's what I'm telling people. I would encourage you to just let him prove it to you, because there's no risk on your part, and he's already done it for a bunch of doctors that I already sent over to him. People are getting phenomenal results with this. Stuff that they would have had their patients walking out the door for. He's going to prove it to you that Compass can help you convert more patients and put more money in your pocket every day. So again, if you're ready to put Compass to the test here, get your own personal finance manager for your office without having to hire anyone. Simply click on that button below, fill out the short form. Compass is going to get in touch with you to get started. Even if you have additional questions beyond this, and I see a couple others, fill out that form. Compass will give you a call, and then you can grill them with any questions you have. I'm telling you, you won't be disappointed. They're great at what they do. All right, so a couple other questions coming in. All right, Gary, what's the lowest and highest amount that Compass can get financed? All right, so you're looking at $500 as a minimum that they're going to finance. And that's pretty low, and you got a maximum of $50,000. All right, so that should be high enough for the doctors I know, right? That should be a big enough range. Linda's asking, what kind of payment plans can patients expect? All right, I think I know what you're saying here. As far as interest rates, that really depends on each individual case, obviously. But you can probably expect anywhere from like a 7.9% all the way up. And I don't know what the top is. Some of the subprime lenders, obviously. But again, your patient's going to know that up front, what that loan is. And they have to accept it before it ever gets done. So 7.9% on up. and looking at payments usually in the 12-month up to 48-month payment periods. Again, depending on that amount financed, what they're going to do with that. Sam, great question here. Let me make sure I understand. Yeah, when you're working with multiple lenders, what about multiple hits on a patient's credit report? Yeah, like normally if you would submit with Care Credit and then you would do Capital One, something like that, they get multiple hits. So what do we do about that? I told you Frank worked with some software with Experian. Really popular because of this. Frank developed this software with Experian, and what they've done is they've actually contracted with one of their credit providers, and they do something that's called a soft pull. It's not a credit score, it's a credit profile. And so they can enter the information and get a credit profile, which basically at that point tells Compass where to submit that loan. And that soft pull doesn't show up on your patient's credit report. So the patient that's applying, even though Compass has access to multiple lenders, they're never going to get more than 2 inquiries to show up, because that's a concern. I'm glad you brought that up. I talked with Frank about that, and they got it covered. They're on top of it. All right, I'm not seeing any other questions there. I think a lot of people are already probably hitting the link. So click on that button below, get signed up, the short form, get your personal finance manager for your office. I highly recommend you get on board with Compass. Like I said, no brainer. I know, like I said, my early adopters that I sent to Compass months ago have nothing but good things to say. So really, give them a chance. Convert more patients, put more money in your pocket. It's really that simple. So still no more questions in there. I think that's all I got. If you have anything, let Compass know or give me a shout. Again, thanks again for joining me on this. Take care. We'll talk to you soon.